happy Thursday. Dr. Jason Dean, BraveTV, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
How's it going, Dr. Tina?
I am doing great. I just came back from Florida.
I know, we missed you. I can't stand when we miss you.
I know, it's okay. It's all right. We'll catch up another time. There's a lot happening right now. So
to say the least.
It's been fun. We had a really good time. So I'm a little bit more tan than normal, which is great. But yeah, I mean, it was a nice little bonding time with my husband and my 16-year-old. But she got really burned, and she thinks that she has skin cancer now and everything else. It's like, oh gosh.
Sabrina, you don't have skin cancer.
Yes, Sabrina. She got really, really burned on her face. She decided not to put any sunscreen on and just go out one day for 2 hours, just not even thinking about it. So yeah, so we're dealing with that drama.
So she's in full doctor's daughter hypochondriac mode that she thinks she has skin cancer now?
Exactly. Is this going to be permanent? Am I going to be fine? I'm like, you act like you had 2nd or 3rd degree burns. You did not have second.
You were just in the sun for 2 hours. Like, take some Cataplex F, I think it is, and you'll be fine.
Calcium, and yeah, take some calcium, which we started giving you, or put wheat germ oil over your face. You'll be fine.
Good. You'll be good. And it'll actually be gone in 24 hours probably.
Yeah, well, she's definitely, her friends, it was a bit embarrassing. So at school, she had to go back on Tuesday, and she said, if I would have had to go back on Monday, I would have missed it. And I've been so embarrassed. And, oh, well, you live and you learn. Now you won't ever do that again. So, we tried telling you just don't listen to your parents. You know how 16-year-olds are. They think they know everything, especially her. So.
I have a 10-year-old that thinks she knows everything.
Well, maybe she does, Dr. Dean. Maybe she does.
The other day, my Lisa said something, and there was a word. I don't know what word she used. It was like a word. Like if I said the word out loud, you'd know what it was. But she definitely didn't know what it was, and so she's like, "Do you know what such and such means?" It's like a standard word, and Leah's like, "I don't want to know. I know." And I'm like, and I literally out loud I go, but you don't know that word. Like we've never used that word before. Like, let mom tell you what the word means. Like, look it up.
You're going to have fun the next 6-7 years. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
Gonna be fun. So have you been watching? Hey, have you been like predicting the future over the last like couple months in your own mind?
Yeah, I mean, is everybody ready? I mean, I've only been talking about this for 4 years now, since I originally came on about the solar eclipse and how significant it is. And now we're finally here. And I think everybody's kind of getting excited about it because they're really starting to feel the energy of it. And we're here. We're finally to the month of April. We're kind of in the full swing of things. We will continue to be in the full swing of things. Yeah, I don't look at it as predictions, I've always said astrology is based upon potential. It's always pure potential. That's pretty much what it is. You can't, I mean, ancients used to look at this and predict where the stars were. And I think that's kind of how astrology kind of got their bad name, as they started saying, well, if they can predict where the planets are going to be, then we can predict what's actually going to happen and what they mean and the metaphysical side of it. And I don't look at it as predictions. So, you look at what's happening in them, and then you can say, these are the potentials, and that's all you can say. But right. You have to be very careful, because when you're creating your own universe and you say something to someone, people can take it very literally, and you can help shape their future, and you don't want to put something in their mind and which is not true for them, or that is not necessarily beneficial. So I'm always trying to be as beneficial as possible.
Yes, that makes sense.
So,
so no new beginnings, and I think it's fascinating that I don't know if you saw the videos this morning already. So Dan Scavino posted the Trump Abe Lincoln video this morning. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, exactly.
And he literally Trump literally was saying, the Trump character in it was literally saying, I think he said, look at this tweet. And Abe was like, my fellow Americans. And I'm like, okay, timing on that, first of all. But then Eclipse is here. I've heard of it. I heard it called the New Beginnings. Like, this is timed too perfectly.
It is. Yeah, I mean, we're in an election year. So, yeah, anything that's going to be kind of Trump's leading in the polls, kind of like what was happening in 2020. He was, we had the lowest unemployment, highest in the stock market. There was all these great things happening. People had more money in their pocket. The housing market was great. All this stuff is happening. And then all of a sudden you have this thing that's kind of thrown in there. And so it's been a little bit difficult because people are kind of looking at this year as saying, well, we have another presidential election. I've always said that this year is going to be as intense, but not as chaotic as what I want to say. Because
do you think we get to an election?
I think there's going to be some things that happen before that that'll kind of dictate that. I'm leaning towards there being an election, but it not looking the same as it's always looked. I think it's going to be something that's completely different than what we've had in the past. And I don't know what that means, but I just have had this feeling that if we do have an election, it has to go down in a different way than what it's gone down to in the past. And this is setting the tone for the next year and the next couple years. This solar eclipse is a new beginning specifically this year, but it's kind of a new beginning for a while. Okay. So I think that there's something that's going to go down. What is that going to be? And you mentioned in one of your Facebook posts the other day about the moon, about this solar eclipse and it not being the sun. I'm looking at this solar eclipse as saying this moon is supposedly blocking out the sun. And what does this mean for everybody? Because we're looking at the dynamics of, okay, it's going to be blocking it out, but what does that mean? And in astrology, what I look at is the sun being the father and the masculine kind of energy, and that moon being the mother earth and that mothering energy. And so when that this kind of has come to me in the last couple of days is this moon supposedly blocks out this sun. What is this darkness kind of represent, and what's actually happening in the universe? Is this specifically, do I believe the sun is there? Yes. Do I believe that there's something that's going in front of it? Yes. What is the moon? We've had this question before.
I don't think it's the moon. I don't like, I mean,
like, is this sun getting covered by the moon? How is this being blocked out? And what is happening? Have eclipses happened for eons? Yes, they've happened for a long, long time. Right. How is this different? Because there's so many things going on that you have brought light to in the last couple of weeks, in the last couple of months that are going on, especially with climate change, supposedly climate change. But this is all happening in the sign of Aries. This is very, very interesting because Aries is the goddess, the god of war, and so when I look at the solar eclipse, I'm looking at what sign it's in and what kind of what could potentially happen. You have this happening in this sign that is all about war. Okay. So do we want to focus on war? Not so much, because there's a lot that can happen during this eclipse that can help us in our minds and help us focus on good things, because right. I don't always want to just focus on the negative things, but when you're talking about this, it's blocking out this light that we have, and it's bringing darkness to the earth for 4 minutes. Okay, so what's going to happen in that 4 minutes, and what are they going to be taking advantage of in the earth? Because this moon is a feminine energy. It's like, it's almost as if I see the feminine energy and Mother Earth becoming more prevalent, and females becoming more prevalent. And we've already kind of seen that leading up to it. but this feminine energy blocking out that sun and that warrior energy that it's in, and saying, you know what, we have to stop this somehow, some way, by spreading love and by spreading this intention that we want to get ahead. We want to have a new world. You know what I mean? Because this can be a scare event as far as being, saying the world is coming to an end, but it's not really the world. It's a world. It's
Mm-hmm.
the old world. It's the old world, old way of doing things. And so we have to look at how we've been doing things up to this point. So going back to the election, how we've been doing elections up until this point, they're no longer working for us. So
Correct.
how do we start that new beginning for that? So this is kind of declaring war in my mind, as to how we want to, do we want to fall back into this, okay, yeah, we're going to create this war, we're going to create all this chaos, and or do we want to fall back on, we want to move forward into and create something new out of the ordinary. And this is going to be kind of a theme of this whole month, of really taking a quantum leap forward. This is a massive, massive month to do this, because not only is this a solar eclipse, a solar eclipse happens when you have the moon and sun that are conjunct in the heavens. And that means that they're right on top of each other. Literally, this is right on top of each other. But this is going to be a super moon. This is not only just a solar eclipse, this is a super moon. This is a new moon. And with this new moon, you always have new beginnings. And it's even more significant because it's in the sign of Aries. So you got to look at what is this new beginning that we're embarking on, and for this whole month. And that's also leading us up to this Jupiter Uranus conjunction that's happening later on this month, on the 20th. So this is a crazy, crazy time, because I think so many people are looking at, what do we want to create in the future? What is our next step? Where are we going from here? Not only do we have the solar eclipse happening, but you have this Saturn, next to Mars, and Mars and Saturn are conjunct in the heavens. And during this time, they're in Pisces. And so what does that mean? Pisces rules water. So you're hearing all this talk about Taiwan. You're hearing all this
Yep.
talk about China and all the ships, and they're surrounding Taiwan, and because it is an island. So they're saying, okay, well, we're going to invade this. They've been doing this for years. We have a patient in our office whose son is very, very high up in this Department of State,
Okay.
and he works in China, and they go on these secret trips, these talking trips in the woods, because he talks to his mother, and she's the patient. And so, and he has been saying for a long, long time, for the last 2 years, to her, watch Taiwan, watch Taiwan, watch Taiwan. He keeps saying this because he sees the movement
Right.
happening, and China being able to take over. So this Mars and this Saturn are in there saying, Saturn is that restriction. It's about the structure of things, and this Mars is also this goddess of this god of war, kind of thing. And so, do we want to focus on that? I don't want to focus on that. It's in Pisces, so I want to focus on the spirituality of this. I want to
Right.
focus on, how can I make this a go and be more disciplined about my thoughts. That's really where I'm coming from with this. So it's crazy. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy time. And not only that, but you have Mercury retrograde in Aries. Jesus. It's like,
Usually I kind of enjoy retrogrades, and I usually kind of stay calm in the chaos because I think I grew up in chaos, so it's easier for me. I'm doing okay this one, but as I've
yeah.
talked to you on the phone about stuff, like some stuff is just annoying me, like, and I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it this time around.
Well, you're irritated because it's a very A to B sign. It's a very, very A to B. Aries it's no nonsense. There's not a lot of fluff. It's just get the shit done. Sorry,
Right.
just get it done. I don't want to hear any excuses. I just want to move forward, and what's the quickest point from A to B. So it's really bottom line kind of sign. And when Mercury is retrograde in there, it's forcing you to look back and say, well, I need to be able to move forward, but what are my belief systems that are stopping that? and this Mercury retrograde in Aries. This is what's helping us to do, because not only do you have this Mercury retrograde, but you have this Chiron, which I've talked about in the past. Chiron is not a planet, it's an asteroid, but it's exactly conjunct the sun and moon at the exact degree at 19 degrees Aries at the time of the solar eclipse. So what does this mean? So Mercury is going to go retrograde, and it's going to be conjunct that Chiron eventually when this moon moves off of that. But Chiron is this asteroid which deals with past traumas, wounds in the past. It's the path of the wounded healer. So it's kind of our Achilles heel.
That makes sense.
You know, what in the past how have we been harmed? You know, not only how have we been physically harmed? Because Aries deals with us, me, myself, and I am. You know, I've been harmed. But also, like, how we had this on a larger scale, you know? And so how we can be physically harmed, but also emotionally harmed. How has this happened? And so we're looking, it's forcing us to look at this.
Right.
And a lot of people are going through a lot of traumatic stuff right now, because I've mentioned this. If you have been doing what you're supposed to be doing over these last couple months and over these last couple years, this isn't as hard for you. But some people are getting their asses kicked because they have not done what they've needed to do in order to get to this place. So it's forcing them. It's kind of saying, you know what, I'm dragging them, and you need to move forward. You can no longer be in the space of a victim role. You just can't. Okay, this happened in the past. And Aries doesn't focus on the past. Aries focuses on the future.
Right.
Aries focuses on, where do I need to go? And so this is saying you really need to let go of your past traumas. This is a new beginning for you. This is a new earth that we're moving into. And this is a new beginning to the United States. I don't think that all the stuff in Texas is a coincidence. Texas is setting the stage for what is about to come with the states. And I think that this is going to be a big, big theme we see over these next couple of years, is a secession, or who's involved in this United States of America. Are we still united? If we're not united, then who the hell are we?
Yeah.
So a lot of, you know, because California is kicking half their population out by raising all the prices by minimum wage and earth changes out there. It's a disaster out in California. They're doing this intentionally because they don't want people to be in California.
Right. But it's literally restructuring America right now, like physically, land-wise too.
Yeah, it is. And this is what happened last time we had, you know, our United States was birthed in 1776. And this goes along with that Pluto return that I talked about last year, and the years that follow that. So you're kind of in this place kind of where we were back in 1777, 78, 79, where what states were part of this United States? What states came together to form this United States? And so we're kind of in that same position where that's happening. Am I freezing a lot?
Yeah, quite a bit off and on, but it's okay. The audio is perfect. It's just it freezes. It's probably an internet situation.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with my internet, but whatever. Because I see myself, you know.
But you're okay. Your audio is perfect. Your audio is perfect.
My audio is good. Okay, good. Sorry about my internet if it's wacky. I don't know what's happening.
You have an eclipse coming through your area, 100%.
Yeah,
it's screwing with you.
So Mercury's retrograde. That's the other thing I'll blame it on. Okay, so I can't get my message
That's
across.
true.
You know, I can't. So you're having this electronic difficulty. But no, we're kind of in the same position we were in the late 1770s, you know, where we were kind of asking ourselves, how do we want to proceed as a nation? Are we even a nation? We have 13 colonies. Okay, is this really a nation? How's this happen? What's happening? And, you know, Texas is really, really important because they're saying, I'll follow my state laws, but I'm not following the federal laws.
Right.
Because the federal laws are not going to apply to me because I don't want to be part of the United States. You know, like they're trying their best to stand out and do what's right, but the federal government doesn't want to do that. So they're saying, okay, so how do we merge these two? It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. and I think this is going to be a big part of the elections moving forward as to how are these states restructuring themselves. And I think it was Nebraska that they just passed. I was just reading this morning. They just have a veto proof Congress to where they are going to, because usually their electoral votes, two of them go to the person who won the electoral college, but then one of them goes to the popular vote. And so I think they're going to overturn that. And a lot of these states are starting to overturn some of these rules and these laws that deal with the election. And how is this election going to look? And what is going to happen to our United States? Are we going to get rid of the electoral college? And hopefully we don't. But if we have these states are going to succeed, how are they going to affect future, elections? So this whole month is a whole, like I said, quantum leap forward. What do you want to do? What do you want to focus on? What do you want to create for your future? And just really staying in the positive with this, because there's going to be a lot of information that comes out. Am I scared about what's going to happen, with the solar eclipse? I'm not scared. I do think that there will be some delays with certain things that come out, but I think this is going to be an opportunity um, for the United States and for people to really kind of come out of the woodwork and really shake things up to kind of where we want to be. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. What are they going to pull out of their hat? I don't think that it's going to be a fight. I've talked about the financial aspect of this, and the stock market and all this other stuff. I think it's going to have to do more with food supply. I think it's going to have more to do with the earth and what they're going to be able to pull off, um, with climate. Because, and you've talked about this in the last couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
even on your feed, in the moderator group, and how are they going to shift this, so yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We have another thing in astrology called Ceres, and I was listening to Pam Gregory the other day, and she was talking about this being in the same position it was in 2020, and then having a T square to these planets that during the solar eclipse, and but it deals with food supply,
Okay.
and so they could do something with their food supply, that would really kind of harm us. And they've already started trying to
They've been
do
getting rid
that.
of like chickens and eggs, right?
Yeah. So it could deal with something like this. So I'm looking more at the earth. I'm not necessarily looking at the financial aspect of it.
Right.
I'm looking at how people survive. We don't need money to survive. Yes, you do. I mean, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, yes, you do. But if we had everything stripped away from us, how are we going to survive, just on her own? And I think that's where Nicolette comes in too with this. In the past, she's talked a lot about, being able to grow food on your own. How do people really even know that? That's going to be a key theme as we continue to move into 2026, while Uranus continues to move through Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign, and how that's shaking up how people, this regenerative farming aspect, getting back to the earth. How are we taking care of one another with this? So I don't think that we're going to be alone in this. I think that there's going to be a lot of things. I think they're going to try and hit us with food supply this time, not so much our health with a disease. I mean, yeah, the bird flu supposedly is coming out, but I think it's going to have to do with our food supplies, what they're going to try and affect.
Hmm.
That's
That's no
kind of
good.
what I'm
That's
looking.
no good.
Yeah, yeah, that's which is no good. So on top of all the delays or travel things that the FAA has released for next week, which I'm traveling on Tuesday. A lot of people are traveling next week. Um, have they said expect delays? In my universe, I don't roll that way. I just expect everything to go the way that it's supposed to go.
I don't
Um,
roll
I
that. I don't roll that way.
I don't roll that way. I try to, set my intention that I will get there purposefully. But do I have a backup plan? Absolutely. We all have to have a backup plan as to what it is. So, your survival guy that you have on,
Yeah,
What is he still
Chris.
coming on? You know, he's been beneficial in trying to help people to understand what, and you've been talking about this for years, you know, what do we need to do in order to get to that place? I don't think the sky is going to be falling, but are they going to try and have a scare event? Absolutely, they're going to try and do that. That's what they want to do. Um, but I think we're going to be okay? Yes, I think we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this period like we've gotten through all of them. But we have to really focus on what it is we want to do and how we want to move through this, because our intention is going to be everything, and our potential to be something new is going to be great. A great new nation, um, of people coming together that in a different way than what it was in the late 1770s, you know. So Pluto's back in Aquarius again, you know. So it's going to be an interesting ride with people, and how they all come together. So yeah, lots of things shifting in our universe. There's no doubt about it. But all I can say is that this month is this is the highlight of the whole year. This is it. We're not going to get, I mean, yeah, we're coming up to the election, but this is what we've been talking about. Pluto went into Aquarius with the solar eclipse. The next thing on our list after this is the presidential election, to see how that's going to happen, what's going to happen.
Speaking of that, so he was speaking, I think he was in Ohio or whatever, and so and you know how this is, because not to say other people can't do this, but you and I, my wife, your husband, our colleagues, etc., as practitioners, as doctors, we've always been trained to look for things that stand out, right? Like what stands out? Like somebody can say something for 5 minutes, but there might be two or three things that really stood out that you know that were important. So he said something about there's going to be a very special election coming. And 2 months ago, he said that he was going to beat Biden in less than 5 months. Well, that ain't November. I can tell you that much right now. So, no. and this isn't even the conspiracy me talking. Like, why did he say 2 months ago, I'm going to beat Biden in less than 5 or 6 months, which, like, that's before the summer. That's like April. That's like May, June, somewhere in there. What the hell are they doing? What the
right. Well, it's a wild card. Solar eclipses are wild cards. They any kind of eclipses are wild cards. But when you're talking about blocking out the sun, I think it's kind of a it's a foreshadowing. You know, what does the sun represent? It's kind of our true essence in astrology. It's like, you know, our physical well-being, and this father figure. So it can be on a world stage where it's blocking out somebody that's in charge of one of our leaders, you know. So because Aries is a leader sign, so I actually think somewhat of a female or something else kind of comes in and kind of balances this out and kind of overshadows him. And this is what I think is.
He also posted a picture of a casket with his name on it too.
Yeah. There's some kind of female energy that kind of comes in with this. This is what I've been feeling. And this might be a presidential election, or presidential vice president pick, where he picks a female, but this female outshines him, you know, and he knows this, where it's a game changer. Eclipses are game changers. That's really what it is. And being in Aries, it sets the tone for where we're going.
You know the VP prediction, right?
Who is? Are you talking about Alveda King?
That's Tori's prediction, and I'll just give her credit where credit's due. A lot of the stuff has come to fruition. So, what not better to pick Martin Luther King? I mean, come on, like, and then she's starting to post crap on her Twitter of pictures of her and him, and I'm like, come on, like.
Yeah, what is that all about? And it's interesting because you go along with, and I'm not saying this to harm people that are of a different race, but you have to look at the blackness of the solar eclipse and it's complete blackout.
That's a good point.
And so I think it's someone that stands on a world stage who is black, who's a female, who outshines the male figure in this presidential election. And this is why I think he's going to pick someone like that.
Who is
That
also
is
has a
a
very
game,
motherly, grandmotherly feel to her too.
yes, it's a game changer. And so this is what we're kind of I think he's going to probably announce this coming up in these next couple of weeks. And the reason why and I think this is why he said this, it's kind of a hidden message, and why he said I'll beat Biden in less than in 5 months. It's
Ah,
because he will be, this is a
it's
game
over.
changer, which puts him so far ahead of Biden that Biden couldn't possibly win. They
Right.
would have, there's no way, even if they had, I think him saying that there won't be an election, or people saying there won't be an election, is it really won't be. It
It's over.
really
It's
won't be no
basically over
competition.
before it starts.
There is, and I think that that's where we have talked about with Q, is that it was over before it started, and they've been waiting for this time. They have known that 2024 Biden is going to do everything he can to, that they were going to pull out all stops in order to make this happen again. They are going to try and prevent Trump from being a president again. And so I don't even think there's even going to be an election, as far as, because there's no way that anybody else can win. That's what he's saying. That's what I think he's saying when he's talking about that. And a game changer. It might, so he might even start out as announcing his presidential pick, his vice presidential pick, is saying, my fellow Americans. You know what I mean? He might say something like that. I don't know. I mean, and it's interesting that he's with Abe Lincoln. Like, out
I
of all the
know.
presidents,
That's the
you
banker.
pick,
That's the bankers, and that well also slavery.
yeah. And
So
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 it's
there you
kind
go.
of
Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I mean.
it is. It's all these great things, and it leads up to this Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. Uranus is a game changer, anyways. But when you have Jupiter that's conjunct, Jupiter expands things. And so Uranus is very sudden and shocking, but it represents freedom. It's the maverick of the solar system. And when you're talking about Chiron is in between Saturn and Uranus in the heavens. That's kind of where that asteroid floats. That's in the heavens. And so Saturn deals with the past, and Uranus deals with the future. You have
Okay.
Chiron that's exactly conjunct this sun and moon at the exact degree at 19 degrees. All three of them are at 19 degrees when the solar eclipse happens. It's not a coincidence that it's saying to you, we need to look to the future. What do we want to create with this? And so when you're looking at this Uranus and Jupiter, it's saying we want to have freedom. We no longer want to be slaves of taxation. We don't want to be slaves of the government. We don't want to be slaves. And so it's starting a new chapter in our history as a nation, because we're taxed to the nth degree. People are tired of all of this stuff. They just don't want this to happen anymore. So how are we going to make this happen? So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer when it comes to picking someone. He has to pick someone that he knows is going to be a slam dunk. We've talked about JFK Jr. in the past. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't.
Well, I
Likelihood of
mean,
that happening,
he
RFK
he
Jr. would
seals up
pick him.
with Elvita King. He seals up the black vote. He seals up the Christian vote. He seals up the pro-life. He seals up the female vote. He seals up the inner city vote. He seals up a lot of liberals too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
you know,
it's great. It is. There's so much writing on this, and he knows this, and that's why I said I can't disclose this. He's waiting for the perfect time to unleash this. I think it's going to be around 422. With
420,
their
422.
with 420. How well they say 322. But it's interesting. 420 is the date of this Jupiter and this Uranus conjunction. And I talked about this before Columbine happened. on the and so did Waco. They both happened on the 20th of April. If you go
Okay.
back to that time. And so this is kind of an interesting day, the 20th, but between the 20th and the 25th, oh my gosh, my freezing is driving me crazy.
It's all right. It's all right. Your audio is great, so just keep going.
Yeah, I keep freezing. This is driving me crazy. Should I get off and then go back on again and see if it's better?
I mean, you can try. Here.
All right, let me hang up.
I'll kick you out. Come back in.
Okay.
It's okay. Oh my goodness. Here she comes back so fast. Let's see how it works here. There you go.
All right. I think I'm back. I don't know. I'm
better.
still lagging.
It's better, but it's a little wacky.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know what's happening.
Your audio is perfect, so just keep going.
Okay, cool. Yeah, don't worry about me. You don't have to stare at my face. Stare at Dr. Dean's face. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun time. That's all. I don't remember what I was talking about, but all I know is that this is going to be interesting, and we're here. We're finally here. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see where we're headed.
I still think this was done already. I still don't think that that's Biden. I don't think that he would leave it up to chance the last 4 years. I get how this is playing out, and it makes sense from a timing standpoint. I don't think he would have left any of this to chance that something would have gone wrong. I really think that it was all set up this way. Like, I really don't think the next election is an election. It's going to run like an election, potentially. But
yeah,
I think it was done a long time ago. I just don't think they can leave it up to chance. Does that make sense? Like, it's got to be completely controlled.
Yes, and because they knew they were going to try and steal the election in 2020. He had already talked about that earlier in the year. They're going to try and steal the election. They already know that. He already knew that was coming out of the pipe. So they're going to steal the election. Okay, so then what's the most pivotal year? 2020? Was that a pivotal year? Absolutely. But he couldn't get done what he needed to get done. And so he was just going to allow this to happen. And he said, I knew they stole the election, but if I would have put up a fuss, we would have had civil war,
right?
And that's what he's trying to avoid, civil war, and that's kind of why I think this Abraham Lincoln thing is a big indicator. Is saying he's going to help pull the United States together, in which we need it to be together. Now, do the states all run separately? Absolutely, they run separately, but we need a collective consciousness to kind of move us towards a new goal. And our new goal cannot be what it used to be, because we've already had 275 years of this. And do we want our United States to be the same way that it used to be? That's why I keep saying it's not the end of the world. It's the end of a world. It's the end of a past that we once knew that no longer can exist in this new energy. It just cannot. We have to move with it into the future. If we don't, we're going to have a big problem, and people are going to be pulled, and people are going to pass away. People are going to leave because they cannot sustain this. They can't sustain this energy anymore. And I think that's why a lot of people are choosing to kind of, they're part of this karma. Along with the solar eclipse is part of the North Node. You can't have a solar eclipse without being close to the nodes, and the nodes are not planets, but they deal with the moon. And so this North Node is right next to the moon and the sun. And so this is saying, so you have all these signs of saying, where do we need to go? Aries is leading us forward. We need a leader that's going to help get us to where we need to go. But that leader also comes back to us. how do we want to lead? What kind of things are we able to contribute individually? Because it's a very self-sufficient sign. So a lot of people are embarking on new adventures right now, and they're saying, well, do I have to partner up with someone? What can I do? It's a very entrepreneurial world right now, because a lot of people can go off on their own and they don't need a lot of people around
Right.
to do what it is that they need to do. So I'm looking forward to seeing people really branch out on their own and make a name for themselves, with the help of a lot of people. So yeah, we can't do it alone, but then we can start things by ourselves, and it slowly builds to something bigger. So that's kind of the founding fathers. They all kind of came together individually as strong, together as, as a partnership and as a nation and leaders of this nation. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. It's all about what you put your intention on, because Aries is a very intention focused sign. So you have to figure out, with this Mercury retrograde, it's giving us time to unravel the past and to really think about how we've thought about things in the past, and how those thought processes and philosophical belief systems, this is breaking through old belief systems. We can no longer believe the things that we believed once before. And that's why I think a lot of information is going to come out that is going to change people's viewpoints on things. And you're kind of, this is a time to be an outsider. The outsiders are going to be the people that are really going to change all this. And that's what our founding fathers were. They were outsiders. They weren't people who followed other people. They broke apart and they said, you know what, we're going to be our own leaders. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a cool thing.
As a nation goes forward, so here's what I find fascinating. I think the only way this works is if you almost have to implode the whole system. You have to financially implode it. You have to have Congress has to be imploded because they're a bunch of idiots and just it's a mess. But let's say he's elected, right? And does he hang around for 4 years? And then if he does, like, how do you, I asked my wife the other night, I go, let's say he gets 4 more years, right? What do you do after that? Like, who steps in after that? Like, I mean, other than if they're going to run the Trump empire and you get like a Laura, or you get somebody else, or an Ivanka, right? Like, I can see that, but like, his first 4 years arguably are the greatest of our lifetime. I'm not saying it was perfect, but based on our presidents and a bunch of idiots running the show and doing all that they did, Clinton's, Bush's, like, now that we know what they're all about, what they did. So he's arguably the greatest president in his first term. And then based on what he plans on doing and what we know he's going to do in the second term, who runs after that?
There's going to be leaders, going to be people behind him that come up underneath him that have the same philosophy, that have the same belief systems as he does, that wants to see the United States go in the same direction.
Then I think Congress would have to be wiped clean, because I don't see how you do that with Congress in its current situation.
No, you have to form different rules and regulations and different laws with that. And he's not going to be able to do it alone. It's going to be with the help of the people. There's so much happening in the next 2 years too. I mean, there's a lot happening next year, but there's a lot happening in 2026 too. And I think that's where we start shifting. We're already shifting now, but really the amount of facts and information that is presented to us in 2026, because we have Uranus moving into Gemini, which is going to be so crucial. Well, this is starting now. Let me back up. Jupiter enters into Gemini on May 25th. This is going to be in Gemini for the whole year. What does Jupiter represent in astrology? It represents knowledge. It represents philosophical belief systems, a higher level of reasoning and understanding. And so and this deals with higher education and traveling long distance, but most importantly, the information that's been passed down to us from our ancestors. And so as that enters into Gemini, Gemini deals with facts and information and choices. So we have a choice as to what we need to focus on, and our expansion of how we think changes, because Geminis are all about change and they adapt to their environment around them. They're the chameleons. And so when Jupiter's in there, so this is going to be a great year for Geminis coming up, lots of expansion. But when you're dealing with this Jupiter going into that, it's expanding people's viewpoints on a lower level by bringing facts and information to the forefront. So by the time we get to 2026, when Uranus enters in there, there's massive changes and sudden changes with the way people get their information. And this is all, I think, it's leading with that AI part of it, with that Pluto being in Aquarius, with AI being a major part of how we get our information. And I was reading something last month about how AI is going to change Congress with their bills, and how AI, they're not going to have an excuse anymore as to not being able to read a bill.
AI will read the bill and give you all the bullet points like that.
Yes. And so they're not going to have that to fall back on. So there's things that AI are going to be able to help us with, which are going to be very important with how we move forward in Congress, with bills and things like that. So they're not going to be able to get away with what they used to get away with in the past. This is what this is saying right now. The solar eclipse is giving us the opportunity to see what the potential is in America, and what the United States can be, and who we can be as an individual. So that's why I want people to really focus on, with this Mars and this Saturn and Pisces, they're both conjunct, is really become disciplined about your thoughts over this next month. Very simple, because Aries is, again, not a fluffy sign. Be very simple in your approach, and just try to see things as is, because when we were talking about, like, where did astrology come from? The ancients used to study the sky. That's how they started astrology. They wanted to know how these things above them affected them below. And so they built, the Babylonians built this 6,000 years ago. They had watchtowers, and they would look at the sky and study it and map out the sky intricately. They had people staring at the sky every single minute of the night, and saying, okay, how is this planet moving? This is how they started doing this. And so, by the time we got up to the 1900s, they, you have all these intricate systems of how astrology is studied, and it's all based upon observation. And it's all, and I've said this in the past, our most powerful ability as a spirit is observation, and so if we're observing something, how did these stars come to be? I don't know how they came to be, but as you're staring at it and you're looking at these things and you're mapping them out, there has to be some kind of reason why they're there, so they're part of our universe. So do I believe that they used to study this for reasons unknown to us, but part of the reason why they wanted to know it was they just needed to know where they were in the universe. Like, how was this affecting us? What was happening? So over time, they started mapping out the eclipses and the not only the eclipses but the solstices. They started building structures and mapping this stuff out to plan these things, and especially with the crops. So we're going back to, like, ancient times as to how did they figure
We're going
this
back
stuff
to ancient
out?
times with modern technology and better,
With modern technology and better. Absolutely. And
because they had better
astrology,
technology back then too.
Yeah, we have this thing called the ephemeris, and ephemeris can map out the planets because you're using technology. Now they have computers and stuff that can do this for us, but back then you used to have to map them out by hand. You'd have to draw everything by hand. You couldn't, there wasn't computer programs that did this. Was there ability to be able to find out where the planets were going to be? Yeah, there were, because they had intricate systems that ancients developed. But now you can map this stuff out. And so they know this stuff is happening because it's been mapped out for many, many, many years. Now, the power behind it was passed down many generations through a lot of our ancestors, but a lot of that was lost. You know, it's lost. And we were talking about this yesterday. It has to be buried under the Vatican.
You know what I just
It's
thought of?
there. What'd you say?
You know what I just thought of?
What'd you think of?
You were talking about, so when you do like a chart reading, right? And I remember like you show, so like the zodiac's a circle, right?
Right.
And then within there's like lines and stuff that go like cross, I think. I don't know, so I'm asking, right?
Yeah, their houses. Yep, their houses
Right.
are 12 houses.
So do you know how you draw those? Because you said they used to be drawn, now they're computer.
Yeah.
But you know, you would draw those with a circle and a compass and a square.
Yeah, so we talked about this with the Masons, the Freemasons.
The Masons, it's square and compass. You would draw your chart with a square and compass.
Yes, they know about all of this stuff.
They know.
Obviously. They know about it. It's been mapped out for many, 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 many years. And again, it goes back, like, you know, in 1900, they found a specific, very, very complex mechanism, and it's called the Antikythera. And the Antikythera is, you know, had 69 gears to it. They found this, you know, off the coast of Greece, and when they found this, they're like, going, well, what the hell is this thing? And this thing was so complex, and it would map out, you know, the phases of the moon, the positions of the planets, predicted lunar eclipses. It did all that stuff for us. And how the hell did they figure this out? They were much more advanced than we are now. I think we're advanced more spiritually because we had more times to go through this. But I think that the technology back then, they had to have had help from celestial beings. I think that there has to be some kind of mix with all this, you know, with celestial beings. And so this Jupiter being conjunct this Uranus is dealing with the galactic and the Galactic Federation and the outermost beings that we can't see. And so we might be getting more information, you know, from our galactic friends. So people that channel or that are into metaphysics and do certain things like that, they might be getting more information about that, because the energy's coming at a rapid rate right now. It's so fast. Aries is such a fast sign. And so it's so rapid, but this is the highlight in the last 4 years. This is the highlight. This is what I've been talking about. I skipped over 4 years. And yes, we've had little small highlights throughout the years, but this is the big deal. This year is going to be monumental in where we go from here. So set your intentions. This is the biggest thing I want everybody to do. Set your intentions on what you want to see in the future. And if you have vision boards, whatever the hell it is you do, it's all based upon intention. And astrology doesn't dictate anything. It is reflective of that. You have potential on changing this based upon our intention. So if we bring all this intention as to a positive energy compared to all the negative stuff that's happening in the news and everything else, we really need to shift our focus and change our minds. That's what that Gemini energy or that Mercury energy does, is shifting and changing our minds on something in the way we used to do things. So set your intentions, and we will definitely, see kind of where we all are in a couple weeks.
I love it.
If we're all still alive.
We got a bunch of information in an hour or less than an hour. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Is there any questions anybody has? We'll do questions for like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll wrap, because it was one of the best ones you've ever done.
Oh, thank you. I don't feel like it, but
No, you killed it. Like, that was like genius in an hour. Like, usually we go for longer, but this one's just like, and I think we're also seeing it. Like, it's starting to come into focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the rapid intention and the rapid energy is it can't be stopped. And this is so important right now. It's just to go with the flow. Pam Gregory, when I was listening to her, she said, ride high on your big wave because you're riding the biggest wave we've ever ridden. And she said you're going to be higher than you ever have been before, which is so cool.
Nice.
You know, um, it's really, really interesting. I'm just looking at some of the questions.
Yeah, don't be everyone. So some people out there are like afraid of don't be afraid of the eclipse. If you want to look at it, look at it. I don't really give a care. I don't think you're gonna die. I don't think you're gonna lose your eyesight. I think people have looked for eclipses forever and they haven't lost anything. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not too worried about that.
they used to be afraid of them. They used to. I mean, there was a lot of um, soothsayers that would look at the sky and say, "Oh my gosh, there's an eclipse and there's going to be horrible things happening." And that's kind of where astrology kind of got their bad name,
Right.
with predictions and things. And you're going, okay, it can be as bad as you want, but yeah, people used to be scared of these things because, I mean, they've been saying, watch the temperature drop, watch how the animals respond,
Yep.
because this is not a normal thing to happen where you don't have anything. But is this a test for us? Like, are they going to try and block out the sun again, with a volcanic eruption or something? Who the hell knows? Because again, that Uranus and Jupiter on the 20th, they're both in Taurus. Taurus deals with Earth. And I've talked about earthquakes, in the past. Uranus is sudden shocks. It changes the landscape of the Earth, but
Yep.
it happens in a sudden, shocking way. Pluto deals with it more of a glacial, kind of movement.
Yes.
Uranus is like lightning. And so those two getting together, we're already feeling the effects of it with all these earthquakes that have started happening. And I think they just had another one in Japan this morning. And so you're starting to see this intensify more and more and more, because the earth is not happy. The earth is not happy to what we're doing to it. And even to go off of what you were talking about yesterday with glyphosate and all the other stuff that's happening, you know what I mean? The earth can no longer sustain itself with what it has been done to it. And so now we need to create a new earth based upon new intentions, and regenerative farming, and flowing more energy back to the earth. And that's why I think, with this moon moving in front of the sun, it's allowing us to kind of go back within and really see what can we contribute to earth.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool.
How does the eclipse move from west to east? I don't know all the science behind it. I haven't.
I don't know all the science between it either. At first, when I was talking about this last year, I said it was going to descend from Canada down through Texas. I thought that was the path. With the moon, I just thought that that's the way it was going to go. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's coming up from Texas. Is coming. I thought it went the other way, and it was confusing to me because I'm going, well, does the moon move in specific areas, like from north to south, east to west, I mean, how does it move? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because the eclipse back in 2017, it happened from west to east. So it's all dealing with the movement of the moon and the elliptical portion of how this moon supposedly is moving around the earth. And I'm going, okay, well, are they controlling this? Is this just based upon gravity? How are they able to, I mean, did something shift the other day with the poles? You know what I mean? Like,
well, this is the other thing. Like, is remember everybody too. So the path of the sun every year is this. It's an infinity symbol. Like that's the path. The sun is an infinity symbol. So it's even when people are like, "Oh, it's a flat Earth." I'm like, "No, it's not," because the sun wouldn't move that way. It wouldn't be an infinity symbol in a flat Earth. And the moon, I do believe, is a satellite. That's a whole other story. However, how is it working? Here you go, everybody. Stop worrying. I think have fun with the eclipse. Like, are they going to spread the flu? Of course, they're going to spread the flu. Yeah, they're going to spread some sort of toxicity bioweapon. They're going to spread this, that. But Dr. Tina just said for an hour, all positive. We're going into a brand new world. Things are cool. Stop stressing about, will there be earthquakes? Of course there's earthquakes. Are they natural? Some probably are. Are they set off by HARP? Yeah, some probably are. Like yes, we have people that don't like us, but that's because they're in fear. I keep saying this. I've been saying this more in the last few months. The cabal doesn't hate us because they're evil. They're actually terrified because they also know how this all works. And they're just very low vibrational beings that are scared we're going to wake up to find out what's going on. So stop thinking everything's evil. Stop thinking the eclipse is evil. How does it move? I don't freaking know how it moves. Do I think it's fully the moon? Maybe not. I don't know. I think it's a satellite, but like I don't know. I don't think you're going to go out and I don't think they're going to bring out a laser beam and fry you where you stand. I don't think that's how it works. Like the only major quote unquote catastrophe on April 8th that I think might occur is if they set off a false flag somewhere. And just don't be around massive don't go into a freaking stadium or like a big area where millions of people or hundreds of thousands, like watch it from your home.
Well, yeah, and somebody just said they've declared a state of emergency in these states. That's never happened before, as far as I know, for an eclipse. What are they trying to plan?
They're trying to build up fear, first of all.
Well, and it might not come from them.
Right.
We might have some unexpected event that happens that is a positive thing.
Correct.
Trump might come out and say who his VP is, and on the day of the eclipse, setting off this whole massive earthquake across people's minds. And so it doesn't always have to be negative. It can be a very, very positive thing. And I think that's where he's going to gain more power in all of this, is by helping people to see that it doesn't have to be a negative thing, that they have something else planned where it sets the tone to where we're going in a more positive light. Because you said it before, they're going to try and destroy the game board before they leave, and so we know they're here. We know that they're terrified. Do we have to be terrified with them? The more we're terrified, the more they feed off of that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying the fear, we have to look to the future as to what we want to create during this. So when you're looking at the sun being blocked out and everything is black, set your intention on what it is you want to see. Because when the sun comes back out, when this moon moves off of it, there's a new found brightness.
Right.
So look at it as leaving stuff behind, the darkness behind, and leading into the light, so the lightness from dark to light. And that's where I think that he has something. I don't know what he's going to be doing on the 8th. Do we even know what Trump's going to be, where he's going to be on the 8th?
No idea.
I haven't looked into that yet.
No idea.
We'll check to see. So
before I let you go, what do you think they're doing with, or what do you think is going to go down with RFK Jr. and his little run?
With his little run?
It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, there's part of me that's like, oh, maybe Trump steps aside and RFK Jr. takes the presidential role, or he jumps in, but that doesn't seem real. Or does he come in as a VP, but he's not, probably, because it's probably going to be King. Like, was his job just to expose?
I think it's to shake things up and just tell people that it doesn't have to be the way that it used to be.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of leading the pack, just like his. I
don't see him as presidential material personally.
No, not. But I think he's a ray of hope.
Yeah.
Kind of like his uncle and his father were, as showing people what an election can be like. And he already said that it's going to change the way people see elections. That's when he was hyping it up. He was saying that. So I do think it's to bring hope. I think it's to bring a different feel about elections because they've been so doom and gloom up until this point, and that it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Are we concerned about voting and all the other stuff? I don't know if that's even going to be a factor in this because there's no way that they're going to be able to win if there's something that happens that's a game changer. So we're looking for
You,
game changers.
you still have to expose 2020 election fraud. I mean, because honestly, I don't think people. I know there's a giant population like me out there. I know people have told me how I should do it and everything else, but in my gut, I'm like, unless you fix this system and expose 2020, why am I going to a voting booth? Like, why? Like, what is the point of that? I think you still have to have a closure on that of some kind.
Well, you can't fix the old system.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm saying is that we're realizing that the old system is so broken down and so dilapidated that you kind of have to rip the whole damn thing down and build a whole new structure. And
Right.
that's kind of what I think Trump is focusing on is in the future, what does this structure look like? And so we can't fix what they've destroyed already. You know what I mean? We have to
Right.
look outside of that and be game changers and be leaders into this new world. And so it's the same thing when the founding fathers said, we can't fix the taxation in England. We can't do that.
Right.
The only way we can do this is to have representation, through taxation. They don't have that here. How the hell are we going to get away from this? The only
Right.
way to do that is to find a new world and to build that up. And that's exactly what's happening again with this Pluto return. It's the same thing. It's saying we can't fix what we built in the last 250 years. We have to form something new, and we can't get away from this land mass we call the United States and go find the new world because it's all been discovered already. So we can't do it that way. So how are we going to do this with having the United States the way that it is? That's what's happening.
Right. Agreed. Yes. Yeah. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. Yes, everyone's declared a state of emergency. It's about a money thing. But don't worry, their money is going to come crumbling down. That's going to happen. We still have a financial collapse ahead of us too, and there's no way around that. I mean, there's no way.
No, there's no way around that. But again, it's what have we created that's gonna help us to leave the old system
Right.
behind.
Right.
We had to have created something new.
Totally. The new is already created. It's just a matter of flipping a switch, literally. And I know that's been said many times over, but I mean, there's already banks. I mean, Tiffany's bank behind the scene that for their funding of homes was already doing PowerPoint presentations on ISO regulations for the banking system. So like, we already know that's being put in place.
Yeah. It's already being put in place. It's just because they have to form something new because the
Right.
old system doesn't work. We cash doesn't work anymore. Yeah, it's Cash King, but it's not.
Right.
We can get in a whole other subject about that. That's just a whole disaster. So yeah, so just keep moving forward. Don't just keep riding the wave. Don't stall during this period. Wherever you're being led to do it. Okay, it's very, very simple. Just focus on the simplicity. Go out and walk on the earth. I was on the beach, a lot this past week. Go walk on the earth without your shoes on. Go connect with the earth. Go take walks, read a book. Do something that is going to keep it simple for you, to keep you out of this news cycle. Yeah, it's okay. You can look at it, but just try not to engage in it so much, and so it's
Yep.
it's hard not to do that.
Absolutely. I'm not worried about NASA throwing any rockets at it. I think they're throwing rocks. I think they're actually throwing rockets at it because, and by the way, the word that they're using, I'm not going to go into it now, but they're using a word, I think it's AP something. It has nothing to do with the devil. It has, like, can people get off the devil thing? I'm like, could you, I'm gonna knock, I'm not going to say much. I'll talk about this more tomorrow. When you continue out there to put your life in an effect situation because the devil controls something, or this person can, when you continue to put yourself in a situation where something can control you, you're already off on the wrong foot. Like, why are they shooting a rocket up there? Probably because it's not what everyone thinks it is, and they're trying to figure out what the hell it is, or they're trying to take it down because they know the real truth behind the scenes. And they're not telling everybody else. That's all. Like,
Yeah,
my word.
and yeah, and I completely agree with what you're saying. I've said this in the past. Pisces is the sign, you know, of imagination and like this kind of nebulous space kind of feeling, and you have the Saturn in there, and a lot of times with that Neptunian energy, you're dealing with belief systems of things. But you know, like in a religious belief system, but
Right.
it's kind of like saying, you know, I believe in these things, but Saturn's in there and it's kind of bringing you back down. I'm not saying religion is bad, but you also have this reality check as to what's in front of you, you know? And so is this feeling of, you know, the devil around me, is that something that is real? Do you see a devil in front of you? You
Right.
know what I mean? Is that something that's in your mind, or is it a belief system? Do you feel it? Is it energy? What is it? You know, so
I have
people are
never worried about
constantly
a devil in my life, Dr. Tina. Like, never in my life once that I ever recall have I worried about a devil having access over me. Is that weird?
No, I don't think that it's weird. No, I don't.
Like, I've never even addressed
I don't.
I've never feared a devil of any kind. Like, why do people,
Well,
I've never, it's never entered my mind.
Well, what's so interesting is the Pisces energy deals with effect. I mean, so it deals with on the positive side, it's an intuition and this intuitive feel of energy flowing through you and being an effect in a positive way, like sitting in front of an orchestra and being an effect of the music in a very positive way. That's
Right.
kind of what that's a simple example. Or you can have the other side of Pisces is a victim mentality where you're an effect of other people or other things that are causing you supposedly to feel a specific way, and so you're giving up your power with this, and so you have to choose on how you want to feel that effect. And so, is it in a positive way? So if you're, and this goes along with the theme of this month, if you're in this victim mentality, you have to look at, okay, so how did I get myself into the situation? There is a creation part of this. Okay. And
Right.
not saying that this is not a horrible than what happened to you, but you got to shift out of the victim mentality as into what am I going to do about it? You know?
Right.
And so if you're part of the religious thing, and so this Saturn in there is a reality check. It's saying, you need to be more focused on this. And with Mars being next to it, saying you need to focus on your discipline around what you're in effect of. So we don't want to watch the news because we know if we watch the news physically and we're in front of a TV, we're in effect of that. And we can't turn it off. You can turn off the TV, but you can't. It's like when you're a kid, and Bruce Lipton always says this, you know, biology versus belief system. You're on autopilot. You're an effect of all these
Yep.
things going on around you, and you don't understand how to create and get away from that because you're
Right.
kind of you're at the mercy of your parents. So you have to get off of that. So you have to give that up. You're no longer a child anymore.
Right.
You know, you are an adult now. That's the Saturn there saying you have to get out of this victim mentality and really move forward with this. This is giving you all this. The Mars is giving it all the energy for you to break free from this. And that's a whole other element of it. So yeah, the whole devil and God thing. I'm not saying to give up your belief system, but really look at how that is affecting your life and what you're giving your power away to.
Right. Right. No, 100%. I'll say the same thing as we close. I also not worried about CERN. Everyone's like, oh my God, CERN's firing up. Okay. At the end of the day, guess what they are? They're scientists. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to see what else is out there. Why wouldn't you also do the same thing as a scientist? Be like, wait, what if we could find other dimensions? Like, why does everyone want to be so devil, Satan, evil, like, who cares? Like, yeah, like, what if they open up a portal to what if they open up a portal to some other species that doesn't like us, or the devil, or do you think if there really is entities like that out there that are more advanced to us, that they need us to open up a portal for them? Like, they're more advanced than us. They'll just show up. Like, if the devil really wanted to like come in through a portal, I think he's strong enough to come in on his own. I don't think he needs a bunch of dumbass scientists trying to like break an atom to like we like
all
human.
You need is willingness. You need like, willingness, and you need you need to have that willingness to believe that. Okay, that comes back to am I open to something that's completely different from the way that I have believed stuff in the past? You have to be willing to be open to a new idea and for knowledge.
Right.
You know, willing to learn something new. If you're not willing, that's the first barrier to anything.
Right.
Is you have to be willing to things.
Right.
You know, so CERN, I mean, they're playing around with energy. You know,
they are. Like,
all that. You know, they're playing around to see all that stuff. But I mean, this all goes back to free will choice. It's the same thing that I've been talking about over and over and over again. You can't have astrology without free will choice. You can predict all you want, but all astrology is based upon potential. And I say this to everybody in every session, that you can have the worst chart or the best chart in the world, but it's up to you to choose what you want to create from that and how you want to manifest things in your life. It's all about your choice. And so they can't interfere unless we willingly give up our choices. They know this. That's what the elite know. So it's up to us is to formulate and come together as a species and as a being and say, you know what, we're willing to accept the positive, you know, but not necessarily all the bad things, you know. And so we're willing to have obstacles and struggle through certain things, but we're also willing to grow, you know. So it all happens, but you have to have that willingness, and they know that. So willingly put yourself in a situation that's going to help you to become very simple and very intention oriented and affirmation oriented in the future this month, because it's going to really help you to get to where you need to go and take action.
I love it. This was your most popular live stream, Dr. Tina, as in as in like
I wish it was a little bit more, not as
like around 900 live streamers. So I think that's your most popular one.
Oh yay! I'm glad that it was my most popular one, and also the most positive one that I think.
Absolutely, it was the best one we've done. If anyone would like to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can email me, or you can get a hold of me on Facebook, whatever it is that you want to do. But you can email me at docstjohn2@gmail.com. So, and I'll get the message and we'll take it from there. But yeah, definitely. I always have an influx of people that reach out to me after I'm on the show, just because they are interested in certain things. I'll get back to you if I don't get back to you right away, because I'm also working and I'm also doing sessions on the side and also in my office and things like that. So docstjohn2@gmail.com. And
that's Doc, as in that's DOC Saint ST John, just how it sounds, JOHN, the number 2, docstjohn2@gmail.com.
Yep. Awesome. I'm looking
Dr.
forward to
Tina,
about you.
thank you. Thank you as always. We appreciate it. That is Dr. Tina St. John. Everybody have a great Thursday. For Dr. Tina, this is Dr. Dean. It's been Brave TV. I'll see you guys tomorrow, but have a great rest of your Thursday. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.